He was real kind to me. I don't, um, listen, with a guy like him, man, you gotta understand he's iconic in my mind.
Kanye West's recent public outburst has left many questioning his mental state. But what most people don't realize is that Kanye is going head-to-head with powerful forces in the music industry. He isn't the first to take on this fight. Icons like Prince and Michael Jackson faced eerily similar battles in their final days. Prince fought relentlessly to reclaim control of his music and expose the exploitation rampant in the industry, then died under mysterious circumstances. Now, Kanye is stepping into the same fight, calling out the hidden forces that have controlled artists for decades. The connection between their stories runs deeper than it seems. Recent revelations about Prince's final moments and his chilling last words have reignited outrage, exposing the industry's dark underbelly. And who's leading the charge in bringing these truths to light? None other than Kanye West. The parallels between their battles are impossible to ignore, demanding a deeper look into the forces that continue to shape the music world. Kanye West claims that during Prince's final days, he faced relentless pressure from powerful Hollywood elites. Was he silenced because of what he uncovered? A journalist revealed that Prince's team initially blamed his death on the flu, but something about that explanation never quite added up. The flu isn't typically fatal. It's something most people shake off in a few days. So, how could it lead to such an abrupt and tragic end? Leaked footage, allegedly showing Prince's final words, paints a haunting image. It suggests a man reaching out for help while the most influential figures in the industry turned a blind eye. Could the music elite have driven him to his breaking point? As more details come to light, serious accusations are surfacing about a shadowy network of powerful individuals capable of silencing even the brightest stars. Surprisingly, it's not just industry executives who are being called into question. Oprah Winfrey, with her long-standing connections to music powerhouses like Quincy Jones and Clive Davis, is now part of the conversation. These relationships have raised eyebrows, particularly when it comes to Davis. Known for his far-reaching influence, Davis has always been surrounded by whispers of a darker side. For decades, Clive Davis has been accused of manipulating artists and controlling their careers, often at their expense. His influence stretched far beyond the music world, reaching Hollywood's brightest stars. Among those most affected by his power was Prince, whose name became synonymous with Davis's sphere of influence. Prince, however, was a vocal critic of the industry's control over artists. He fought tirelessly to protect his creative freedom, even going as far as publicly calling himself a slave in his struggle to regain ownership of his music and career. His defiance was not just a statement, it was a battle for his autonomy. Kanye West has praised Prince as a fearless trailblazer, someone who dared to challenge the powers that controlled the music industry. But this fearless stance came with consequences. Allegedly, the powerful figures in the industry kept a close eye on Prince, ensuring he never strayed too far from their control. In a viral interview, Prince's close friend Cat Williams dropped a bombshell. He claimed that 2024 would be the reckoning, a year when the dark truths about these powerful figures would finally come to light. According to Cat, this would be the year when stories of exploited artists and those whose lives ended in mysterious tragedy would be exposed to the world. To understand the forces at play, one phrase often resurfaces: follow the money. When artists die unexpectedly, it's not their families who benefit most. It's the record labels. Thanks to a little-known death clause, labels continue to rake in millions from an artist's work long after their passing. Meanwhile, the families of these artists are often left with crumbs, if anything at all. For some, this clause was a golden ticket. For others, like Prince, it symbolized betrayal, a painful reminder of how the industry operates. Cat Williams suggested that this harsh reality dawned on Prince too late to change its course. Even in the 1980s, Prince was ahead of his time. While most artists blindly signed contracts without fully grasping the consequences, Prince was already speaking out against the industry's exploitative practices. He wasn't just a musical genius, he was a visionary and a revolutionary. His talent and foresight reshaped not only music but the entire entertainment industry, leaving a lasting impact on generations to come. Prince wasn't just a role model for up-and-coming singers. He became a symbol for anyone with dreams of making it in the entertainment world. Given his legendary status, you might assume his rise to fame was smooth and effortless. But as Kanye West points out, that couldn't be further from the truth. In the early days of his career, Prince faced immense challenges, and those struggles only intensified as his fame spread worldwide. Prince himself admitted to seeing the deep unfairness within the industry. He once tried to reason with the executives, saying, "I just want to talk about this and see if we can't make it more fair." But as expected, nothing changed. The system stayed the same because, as Prince put it, if it did change, the powerful few at the top would lose their grip. It became clear that the industry wasn't about to bend unless it had no choice. And so, Prince endured the brutal realities of a system that served only the elite, all while fighting against some of the most influential figures in music. Years after Prince's death, Kanye West has reignited the conversation, suggesting that the powerful forces Prince fought against may have played a role in his untimely passing. While this theory might seem far-fetched to some, it becomes harder to dismiss when you consider the conflicting reports about his death and his long history of vocal criticisms against the industry. As the details unfold, a different picture starts to emerge, one of a man whose struggles were far more complex than the typical pressures faced by celebrities. Comedian Cat Williams, known for his unflinching commitment to the truth, has become an important voice in unraveling the mysteries surrounding Prince's life and legacy. If you missed the full story when Prince was still alive, Cat's perspective might be the key piece you've been searching for. He's opened up about Prince before, shedding light on their deep connection, bonding over everything from their shared passion for music to conversations about women, cars, and the harsh realities of the entertainment industry. But their relationship went far beyond what you might expect from a singer and comedian. Having entered the industry at a young age, Cat often spoke about how Prince helped him navigate the complex and often challenging world of being a black man in show business. But their bond wasn't just about music or the usual surface-level topics. Cat shared that Prince was one of the first to show him how to survive the dangerous waters of fame, guiding him on how to avoid the traps that could destroy even the brightest stars. To Cat, Prince was more than just a musical mentor. He was a guiding force through the darker, more dangerous aspects of the music industry. While Cat found a way to thrive, Prince faced deep struggles that weighed on him in his final years. Given this, it's easy to see why Cat, known for his honesty and authenticity, felt driven to set the record straight about his friend, a man who had such a profound impact on his career. Cat Williams has frequently shared the lasting influence Prince had on his life. During an interview with Arsenio Hall at the Netflix Is a Joke Festival, Williams opened up about meeting Prince when he was just 12 years old. That encounter left an indelible mark on him, one so powerful that, after 5 years of rapping, he eventually realized his true passion was in comedy. It all started in Dayton, Ohio, at the University of Dayton Arena where Prince was performing. Williams recalled, "I met Prince when I was 12. I've known him my whole life. He was like a guiding force for me. Prince wasn't just a mentor in the traditional sense, he helped build Williams' confidence. The reason I have high self-esteem is because of him," Williams shared, adding that Prince's incredible talent, playing over 25 instruments, taught him to be versatile and focused, two qualities Williams would later embody in his career. But the biggest lesson Williams learned from Prince was the power of being yourself. Prince showed him that it didn't matter if others made fun of his light skin, long hair, or his unique style. What mattered was staying true to who you are. As Prince once told him, "As long as women love you, you have nothing to worry about." Prince wasn't just a musical icon to Williams. He was a visionary, always ahead of his time. His impact went beyond music, helping shape Williams into the entertainer he is today. What makes Williams's reflection even more intriguing is how it ties into the cryptic messages Prince left behind throughout his life. Prince was famous for subtly addressing the problems within the music industry, often through his music and interviews. Just before his death, he made a bold statement. "It's not that we're against them. The goal is to find better ways to work together. It shouldn't be a situation where they own the album or the work. We're talking about intellectual copyright here." Fans quickly picked up on these remarks, with some, including Cat Williams, seeing them as a quiet reference to the darker forces within the entertainment industry. What Prince said wasn't just random musings. It reflected a real, ongoing struggle against an industry built on exploiting its artists. His death came shortly after he dedicated himself to this cause, standing up to the very people who had control over him. Many believe that Clive Davis, a powerful figure behind the scenes in the music world, was among those who could silence Prince's mission if needed. Prince's fight wasn't just based on his observations, it came from personal experience, especially dealing with executives who controlled so much of an artist's work. As the digital era took hold, he tightened his grip on his own music, pulling it from streaming platforms like Spotify, Pandora, and YouTube. While some fans were frustrated by this, it was a move that showcased his distrust in an industry that valued profit over creative freedom. At the time, Prince's commitment to artistic independence was often viewed as eccentric. However, looking back, his approach appears to have been ahead of its time, almost visionary. Today, it's evident that artists like Kanye West and Drake, who have gained attention for asserting their creative control, were inspired by Prince's unwavering stance on freedom. Kanye, for instance, releases albums across various platforms, updating them as he sees fit. Meanwhile, Drake has made a name for himself by dropping records without adhering to traditional marketing cycles. But for Prince, the true power lay in maintaining control over his own art. He made this point abundantly clear in the early 90s during a very public standoff with Warner Brothers Records. Warner Brothers, the label Prince had been with since the start of his career, wanted to restrict him to one album release per year. But Prince felt confined by the industry's strict marketing timelines, which didn't match his creative output. His frustration led to public defiance, and in 1996, he launched his own label, NPG Records, under a new deal with EMI. With this new freedom, he released Emancipation, a triple album, entirely on his terms. "Music for me doesn't come on a schedule," he told the New York Times, stressing that music should never be about how it's marketed. This rebellion against industry norms was more than a statement. It was a bold move. Rumors suggest that his challenge to these standards might have played a role in his controversial death, with whispers of Clive Davis's involvement still circulating. Prince's commitment to creating freely and resisting industry giants is now seen as revolutionary. It's clear how far he went for his art and legacy. In his prime, Clive Davis was a central figure in major industry deals, discovering artists like Whitney Houston, Barry Manilow, Patti Smith, Kenny G, and Sarah McLachlan. Davis held tremendous influence, even serving as the president of Columbia Records in the late 60s and early 70s. Many believe he had both the power and the means to silence Prince, a theory that comedian Cat Williams has long supported. Williams has argued that, in the music industry, financial interests often outweigh the well-being of artists. He emphasizes how, all too often, making money takes precedence over caring for the artists who create it. This view gains further credibility when looking at Davis's alleged track record of silencing artists, with Whitney Houston's story being a particularly tragic example. Houston's heartbreaking death, found unresponsive in her Beverly Hills hotel bathtub, happened after her assistant left her alone for just 45 minutes. Despite efforts from emergency responders who performed CPR for 20 minutes, she was sadly declared dead at the scene. While the official cause was ruled as accidental drowning, the involvement of heart disease, substance use, and a dangerous mix of drugs played key roles in her tragic passing. At the same time, a Grammy Awards party was happening just down the hall, hosted by none other than her mentor, Clive Davis. This stark contrast has fueled conspiracy theories, with some questioning Davis's influence in the industry and drawing parallels between his control over Houston and possible similar influence over Prince. Adding to the growing mystery, former police officer and private investigator Paul Hubel has made shocking claims about Whitney Houston's death. He alleges that her passing wasn't accidental, but the result of a deliberate act carried out by two men hired by powerful figures from the East Coast. Hubel contends that these men were sent to settle a $1.5 million debt connected to high-level dealings in the entertainment industry. Hubel states he has solid evidence to back up his claims, including CCTV footage showing the two men entering and exiting Houston's hotel suite multiple times in the days leading up to her death. He argues their presence was far from coincidental and points to inconsistencies in the official investigation, raising suspicions of a possible cover-up. This isn't the first time allegations have surfaced questioning the official narrative of Houston's death. Some fans and insiders have long speculated about external pressures placed on her in her final years, particularly as she struggled with financial and personal challenges. In a separate high-profile case, Minnesota officials determined that Prince's death resulted from an accidental overdose involving fentanyl. Investigators discovered that Prince had unknowingly taken counterfeit pills he believed to be Vicodin, not realizing they were laced with the deadly synthetic opioid. Carver County Attorney Mark Metz explained that all evidence showed Prince was unaware of the pill's true contents. Despite the unusual circumstances due to Prince's celebrity status, Metz declined to press charges, stating the decision was based on evidence, not fame. However, the circumstances of Prince's death raised suspicions, especially given a haunting link to his song, "Let's Go Crazy." In the song, he famously sings, "Are we going to let the elevator bring us down? Oh no, let's go." Music producer A. Reed found this line eerily significant after a private conversation with Prince, where he confided that the elevator symbolized the devil. When Reed learned that Prince was found in an elevator, he couldn't shake the unsettling feeling, recalling Prince's cryptic explanation. Reed, who had known Prince for decades, was deeply shocked by his sudden death. Prince had always been the picture of health, vegan, fitness-focused, and someone who steered clear of harmful habits. His unexpected passing didn't fit the image Reed had of him as a person committed to wellness and longevity. Reed had always admired Prince, whose innovative genre-blending style had left a mark on his own band's music. To Reed, Prince was a one-of-a-kind musician who shattered boundaries by mixing blues, jazz, rock, funk, and gospel into something entirely his own. He shared the boldness of James Brown, the masculinity of Teddy Pendergrass, the introspection of Paul Simon, and the electric energy of Michael Jackson. The strange circumstances surrounding Prince's death, especially as he was intensifying his fight for artists' rights, raised serious questions. The official explanation seemed unconvincing, sparking doubts about the true nature of what had happened. Clive Davis's reputation in the industry was seen by some as the very system Prince was rebelling against. Prince's battle for creative control and ownership was at odds with Davis, who was known for putting profit over the well-being of artists. Whitney Houston's story illustrated these concerns. Musician Demanda Gallus called Davis a colossal pig in a powerful social media post. She claimed that Davis pressured Houston back onto stage before she was ready, turning her talent into a product rather than prioritizing her health. Gallus raised the unsettling idea that Houston's death may have been exploited for profit, with Davis and his company potentially framing it as a tribute to continue profiting off her legacy. This brought up difficult questions about how the industry often treats artists as mere commodities. Given Prince's unwavering commitment to artistic independence, some speculate that similar tactics were used against him, psychological pressure to conform and limit his influence. These lingering suspicions have cast a shadow over the true circumstances of his passing, leaving fans to wonder what he really faced in his final years. Prince's last words seem to resonate with Kanye's own struggles. Both musicians were outspoken, using their platforms to challenge the unethical practices of the music industry. However, their courage came at a steep price. Many believe Prince was silenced for speaking out, and now Kanye appears to be confronting a similar fate. Like Prince, Kanye has been vocal about the greed that dominates the industry, calling out how executives and producers treat artists as disposable, mere assets to be exploited for profit. Kanye often emphasizes that these industry figures view artists as property, forcing them to meet endless demands with little reward. His frustration mirrors the very sentiments Prince expressed before his death. At the heart of the issue is control. Production companies own the rights to the music, dictating when and how it's used. Artists, in turn, have no say in the matter. One time, Kanye publicly shared this information in a tweet that sparked outrage among officials. He pointed out the harsh truth. When artists sign a deal, they often give up their rights. Without owning their masters, they have no control over their music. Others decide when and where it's played. All artists are left with fame, touring, and merchandise. Kanye argues that artists themselves share some of the blame for staying silent in the face of exploitation. By accepting the system, they continue to enrich people who don't care about them. "We've gotten comfortable with not having what we deserve," Kanye said. He added that the industry lets artists enjoy superficial perks, tour money, gold chains, and the illusion of success, while still denying them ownership of their work. Kanye has made these concerns public, stating that when artists sign a deal, they essentially give up their rights to their own music. Without ownership of their masters, they lose creative control and rely only on fame, touring revenue, and merchandise sales. Some in the industry argue that artists themselves bear responsibility for allowing this system to continue. By staying silent, they may unintentionally enable the exploitation of others. Artists become complicit when they keep feeding the wallets of those who don't care about them. Kanye has frequently called out the complacency within the music industry, criticizing the empty perks that fame often brings, things like touring money, gold chains, and a lifestyle that inflates egos, while true ownership remains out of reach. In interviews, he highlights the absurdity of how music labels still control artists, even after they repay the advances given for their albums. Kanye compared this to a bank lending someone money to buy a house, only to keep claiming ownership of the house long after the loan is paid off. For Kanye, he realized that if change was to happen, he was the only one who could lead it. No one else had the courage to take on the powerful figures in the music industry. His bold stance earned him the ire of major players, including Universal Studios. But for Kanye, this fight was bigger than just him. It was for the future of his children and the next generation of artists. He made his commitment clear. "Everyone at Universal, understand this. I will use every legal tool at my disposal and my voice to change artist contracts, starting with securing my masters for my children. I won't stop. I'm petty and personal about this." Kanye's words aren't entirely new. Prince voiced similar frustrations decades ago. Both artists have been outspoken about the music industry's exploitation of its talent, and their battles share striking parallels. Prince, early in his career, was forced into contracts that left him with only a fraction of the profits his music generated, with record labels taking the lion's share. His frustration with this control over his music and finances led him to take drastic measures. He began producing his own music and recording independently in his own studio, hoping to regain some autonomy. But even then, the labels found a way to take their cut, proving just how deeply the industry's grip on artists ran. With these unfair corporations, he's also been vocal about the targeting of black musicians in the industry, something he believes is part of a bigger plan to control them. Kanye insists that the deaths of artists like Prince weren't just tragic accidents. They were orchestrated by those who wanted to maintain power over the music industry. His suspicions grew stronger as he saw other legendary artists, like Michael Jackson, suffer the same mistreatment. For Kanye, these deaths weren't isolated incidents. They were signs of something much darker happening behind the scenes. Kanye is no stranger to the risks of challenging such a powerful system. When the industry tried to force him onto lithium, he saw it for what it was, an attempt to label him as mentally unstable and discredit everything he was trying to say. But Kanye wasn't fooled. He knew that accepting their narrative would only feed into their desire to silence him. Having seen how the industry silenced icons like Michael Jackson and Prince, Kanye is fully aware of the threats he faces, but he's not backing down. And increasingly, more people are beginning to listen and understand where he's coming from. Prince's fight wasn't just about protecting himself. It was about challenging the entire system. He fought for fairness, and as his profile grew, so did the threats against him. His death, caused by a counterfeit pill laced with fentanyl, raised even more questions. Was it really just an accident? Or was it something more sinister? His tragic end only fueled suspicions about how far the music industry would go to protect its interests and silence those who speak out. Kanye, much like Prince, has taken dramatic steps to regain control over his identity. His decision to change his name to Ye was a direct challenge to the industry's power over him. It's not unlike what Prince did when he became the artist formerly known as Prince, a way of reclaiming his identity from an industry that had tried to define him. Kanye and Prince both understand that the industry wants to control everything, including who they are and how they are perceived. By taking control of their names, they took a stand. More people are starting to see the truth in Kanye's words. Some who once dismissed him now realize that the issues he talks about are real and not just conspiracy theories. If the industry were truly as transparent as they claim, they wouldn't keep so many details about their contracts hidden. Kanye's supporters point to Taylor Swift's ongoing battle over her master recordings as yet another example of the industry's tight grip on artists. Taylor, like Kanye and Prince, is fighting for the control of her own work, something that the industry has long tried to prevent. Sadly, Prince never saw the change he wanted. The greed and control of the industry remained the same, and even his outspokenness couldn't change that. But his fight was never just about himself. It was about justice for all artists who had been mistreated. His refusal to accept the status quo made him a target, and in the end, the industry silenced him. His sudden death left many unanswered questions, adding to the growing sense that the industry is willing to go to extreme lengths to protect its power. Now Kanye West is continuing the fight that Prince started. He's determined to finish what Prince couldn't, and to challenge the very foundation of the music industry. The struggles Prince faced still resonate today, and Kanye is carrying that torch forward no matter the cost. The battle is far from over, and more people are starting to realize that Kanye's claims may hold more truth than they once thought. His fight isn't just about music. It's about challenging a system that has been built on the exploitation of artists for far too long. Do you think Kenya is always safe after this matter? Leave the comment below and don't forget to subscribe for more insights into the truth behind the music industry. Thank you and see you again. Goodbye.